Welcome everybody, my name is Richard and this is RSEV, and we mainly do videos about electric cars, but this one's a little bit electric. It's a Landrover Defender P400E, the plug-in hybrid version. I've been using it for about 3 weeks, hence it's dirty here at the moment, and plug-in hybrids aren't the most popular on our channel, so I'm just going to give this a one-take review. So about 10 minutes going through what I like and don't like about this car. So anyone who watches our channel will know that I'm obviously all about electric cars. We drive electric cars day in, day out. Our Model 3 there, 220,000 miles on it after 3 years. You know, we love electric cars, but anyone who watches our channel will know I also have a Land Rover Discovery because I tow a massive trailer with it sometimes. And that's, unfortunately, needs something pretty big and hefty to tow a 3-ton trailer. So I have the Discovery. I don't use it very often, but it has some practical uses and I do towing. But now that there's a plug-in hybrid, you know, is this a jack of all or master of none? Well, I'll go through what I get out of this car in terms of efficiency, real-world range from its electric side of things, real-world efficiency from its petrol engine side of things, and what exactly is good and not so good about this car. So the P400E here has a real-world range on electric only when it's plugged in with the charge port here, which has CCS as well, so it can rapid charge, it's pretty pointless. Has a real-world range of 20 to 25 miles. Let's get that bit out of the way. It's not the biggest range in the world, but it does just about do home to work and back again. So my commuting is all electric, which is great. I could plug it in here, charge off the solar that's being produced on our roof now, drive to home, drive back again, all on electric. The engine doesn't even need to come on, so that's great. And it will go up to like 85 miles an hour on electric only, apparently. I obviously do 70, but it does do that. And on the petrol engine side of things, this has got a 2-litre turbo and supercharged petrol engine. It's really quick, so P400 means 400 odd horsepower. So you put your foot down this, it's very fast as well. Now I found with the efficiency of that engine, if you start a long journey with no electric in it at all, then I was getting around about 32, 33 miles per gallon, something like that. If I started a journey and I had electric and it was in hybrid mode and you did say 50-mile journey, I could get to the end of that 50-mile journey, which is obviously run out of the electric, but with a bit of hybrid, a bit of both happening. I was then doing around about the 50 to 60 miles per gallon. So the efficiency all depends on how far you're going and how much of the electric that is. Of course, to get the best from this car, you do have to plug it in every single night. Right, so that's kind of the efficiency bits out the way. Let's have a look around this car. This is a P400E XS spec, so it's a bit more like the gentleman spec. Most of these you see are black wheels, things on the hanging off the side of it, ladder racks, all done for the Lara Croft off-roading. I have to say, where I live in Ringwood, you see these day in, day out on the school run, and they never see a touch of dirt. Now, mine does see a little bit of dirt, not heavy, but where I live is a little bit rural. We do get some flooding sometimes. It is handy having one of these. And where we live is a new forest with lots of narrow roads. And there's times where you've got to pass other cars, you've got to go into the sort of ditch bit at the side, and it's a bit lumpy. So having something a bit off the ground is useful, but I wouldn't call it serious off-roading like this car can handle. Now, there's a couple of things I don't like so much about this car. It mainly revolves around this back end here. One, compared to Discovery, I love the Discovery tailgate that drops down, although it means you can't really reach into the boot as much. Unlike with this, where you've got the door open, means you can reach into the boot. But the main problem I have with this car is it's just not as big as a Discovery. Discovery 4 I'm talking about. So it's not as high here. I don't think it's quite as wide. And it just is, the boot isn't as long, so it's just not as big in the boot as a Discovery. Plus the P400E has this kind of little lip here in the boot because under here are some batteries. So the boot, you don't really notice this. It's only like a centimetre or two. But there's no storage under the boot floor. So that even means that despite the vast size of this car, you've got the jack is in a bag strapped to the side here. That's the scissor jack for jacking this car up. There's nowhere else to put it in this car. Come around here, you'd think in this compartment on the side there'd be some space there to hide a jack away or in here or something, but no, there isn't. Strange. Obviously the seats are folded at the moment. That's because I've been using it like a van. I've been doing a bit of building work and gardening recently, so I've been using this like a van recently. This one does have the deployable tow bar, which I have used. I have towed with this car, and it's very good at towing, as you'd expect. So the Discovery I have for towing because it is one of the best. When it comes to proper heavy loads, 3 tons, then it is excellent at that. Air suspension helps, very heavy car, very stable. This is also excellent. The tow bar was unused when I got it, but it now has grease on it because I used it. This folds out, as you just seen. It tows brilliantly, very, very good. And I think that's because the tow bar is very close to the rear axle, so it's supremely stable. And what I really like as well, when you plug your trailer in, you can hit this button here and it does a light test, so you can do your own light test, check all your trailer lights are working. Little touches like that are great. So before I get grease on my, you know, they're old trousers, I'll fold that away. So then we're left with, you know, it's a pretty usable luggage space here. If you have a 3-meter bit of wood, by the way, you can just about get that length in, but you are up onto the dashboard and very close to the screen. And there's an advantage to the smaller screen compared to the larger screen, and that is, see where that screen is, there's a bar across it. We'll show you in a bit more detail inside perhaps. That means you can put a bit of wood above that screen. Where you have the cars with this larger spec screen, you can't do that because the screen sticks up above that bit. So there you go. Somebody's also added this weird tray table thing at the back, which I'm not particularly a fan of. It tends to rattle a little bit, so I've had a bit of cardboard wedged in that, plus it takes off an inch or so of your boot space. Anyway, right, we're keeping this to a quick one-take review. Around the back, I think it's ugly as sin. I really don't like the back of these to look at. Huge mud flaps here. This is the petrol flap, the other side is the electric charging flap. Keyless entry on this one. This is a good spec. The XS, like I say, is a bit more like a gentleman's spec. It's not blacked out, and I like that. But we've got things like heated elements in the glass. We've got heated and vented cooled seats, big glass sunroof, and all that kind of stuff. So what I will complain about before we go to the front is these back seats. So to fold them, unlike a Discovery, it's in multiple parts. You have to do this, and then you have to do this, and then you have to put all your headrests back in. And it's a bit of a pain because, I mean, that's why I left it really with the seats down. But I was constantly doing this and it's a bit of a fiddle. In the Discovery, you just fold the seats all in one kind of motion. So if this was the petrol electric with a bigger battery and the size and shape of a Discovery with the storage of a Discovery, it would be a pretty good thing for me to own as one car rather than having a Discovery and other electric cars, you know. So anyway, once you're in the back here, it's got more legroom than a Discovery. So, right, whether I'm in the middle or here, this is actually slightly better than a Discovery 4. So it's good for legroom, 3 passengers in the back, absolutely fine. Grab handles, chunky rivets and stuff like that. It's nice, big sunroof on this spec as well. 2 USB-Cs in the back and climate control in the back of this one. Right, now we jump into the driver's side. I will point out that jumping up into this is jumping up into it. There's no side steps on this one. So, you know, I'm 6 foot tall, but I'm still kind of going onto tiptoes to then get myself in. And then you tend to have to do the shuffle when you're in to get your bum in. In here, it's good actually. Like, it's chunky, it's utilitarian. It's not luxury, but it does, you know, it feels good in here. It feels solid. This is kind of a nice spongy material here. And like I say, having that bar across is good. I think the versions with a bigger screen would mean you can't put your bits of wood on that. I like the way there's trays here with rubbery grips, USBs. Nice simple display panel here. Extra deep storage down here, cup holders, wireless phone charger. And I've got a fridge in here, which has actually been really good. Having a fridge in there is great. Discovery 4 has a fridge as well, but I find it very handy. Spend sometimes long time in the car, especially when you're towing, going places. You can spend a day, so having your lunch in there is great. The seat has ISOFIX on the front passenger side as well. And like I say, heated and cooled and all that stuff. Right, so what's this like to drive? Very nice. I mean, it feels a big tank, I have to say. It's a big thing, quite a small windscreen actually, but you can see the corners of the bonnet, you can see the back because it's very square, so it's actually fairly easy to maneuver. The turning circle's rather good, and it's got that big Landrover thing. It's got a nice ride comfort. It's actually not that wafty, but what it is compared to Discovery, or at least the Discovery 4, is much sharper steering, so you'd be surprised how precise and sharp this steering is actually. Big steering wheel. Notice this one, goes, oh well, crikey, this feels like a truck. Part of it, but it actually handles really well. The pickup on the electric side of things in EV only mode is very good, and so it drives nicely. The petrol engine, when it comes in, if you're just going slowly and gently, you don't even notice it. It's very quiet. When you push on a little bit, it then does start to sound a little bit gruff. It's not the most refined engine, and if you have something like a BMW X5 45E, it's got a 6 under 3 litres, a bit smoother and sounds quite nice. The Volvo XC90 is a bit smoother, but this does the job, and it's actually very quiet and refined. So I've been actually enjoying this car. I've got to admit it, I've been enjoying this car. The practical needs, it's good at towing, it does all my commuting electric, all the local driving electric, but because it has a combustion engine, I can tow it as well. So it is one car that kind of does everything I need of it, mostly. On the other side, it's the worst of both worlds. You do have to plug it in every single night, which when you have a typical electric car, you don't actually have to do. You can just plug it in every few nights sort of thing. Not really a problem, plug it in. I park next to my charger, so I just plug it in, it charges, it's fine. You always resent when the engine does come on and you see your miles per gallon, you're kind of going from 250 miles per gallon dropping down. But it is a very good all-rounder, and if I had to have one car, because I have towing needs, this would probably need to be it. I'm in a position where I can actually have two cars, a towing car and another car that I use daily, and that's typically more what I would have. But again, at home, my wife has a VW ID3, so longer journey, use that. Shorter journey or bigger needs or towing, then use this. So it's a good all-rounder. Will I keep this? I was actually quite tempted to have this instead of multiple cars. Possibly though, you know, really it's better for me to have a car owned by the business, and therefore there's a higher tax implication than if this is electric, of course. You know, from private money, spending this much on a car would be a lot. But it is a good all-rounder. I can see why they're popular, usually a bit needlessly so. The picnic baskets and the full gear on it when you're just doing a school run through town seems a bit silly. And part of it that I don't like is probably the image that goes with it. But as an all-rounder, it is rather good. I do like it. I think if you're buying one, I think you'd be pleased with it. It drives nicely. The electric range is just big enough. I'd like more range and a bigger boot space. So there we go. That's my one-take review of the Defender. I think I've covered most things. Thank you for watching.